start with opening statements from Coach Altman.
Well, it's been a long 10 days, and it really feels good to get a win. The second half really got the floor opened up. The guys got out and ran, and the press, we didn't get a lot of steals out of it, but it changed the rhythm of the game, and we went with a little smaller lineup, and we just finally hit some shots. Dot got on a roll there, and EJ hit a couple, and although we didn't shoot a very good percentage, it was good to see the ball go through the net a little bit. So really happy for the guys. We've played really good defense. We've played really hard defensively throughout this period, but offensively we just never got anything going, and to score 51 in the second half, really what we needed.
You've been sort of pushing Arsenal on all season, kind of be more assertive and maybe show some emotion. It sounds like you did that at halftime.
Oh, he really did. He's the nicest guy in the world, but basketball is a game of passion. The way we want to play, we want guys to be emotional. We want them to be fired up and play, and he's got that laid back, cool, and at halftime he let his teammates know that it was important to him, and man, I thought second half he was unbelievable, blocking shots, rebounding, starting the break. I think that's as good a half as he's had all year, just around the whole game, blocking shots, rebounding, starting our break, making plays. He was the difference in the game. We finally hit some shots with Dot and EJ, but Arsalan's performance and getting us going definitely changed that game.
And obviously, was the driving force in 41-19 rebounding yesterday.
Yeah, no, that we were rebounding the heck out of it the first half. We didn't get anything back in the goal, and to beat somebody to second chance points 24-6, was huge for us, and so that was a big stat.
Maybe easy to say now in hindsight, was that sort of a make or break second half for you guys and big picture wise?
Well, it's a long season. There's a lot of things, but when a team's struggling and losing the games that we did, it was an important half. Make or break. It's a great thing about college basketball. You can lose your confidence in a weekend. You can get it back in a weekend. It's a funny game. One game can just get you going, and one game can send you the other way. So it's a funny game, but there's no doubt it was an important game. Losing 3 games in a row after we had played our tails off. I kept reminding the guys, fellas, we got to 18-2 for a reason. We beat good teams. We played really hard and really well, and we've hit a little stretch here where we haven't. And it's as much my fault as it is yours. I didn't help them out enough those last 2 games. So we're all in this, and we haven't played well. So we need something to get it going. And Arsalan and EJ, Dot, really played well. Johnny's energy, I was glad to see him hit a shot. He was, he's struggling, and he wants to so bad, and we're asking him to do so much more than he's been, and his thumb's bothering him. So he fought it tonight, even though it didn't go, well for him offensively. He fought it again defensively. He's given us tremendous energy, and it's one of the reasons our defense is better now than it's been, because Johnny's energy gets guys to get up and chase guys around.
I assume Johnny looks like he's been in a fight too after taking that elbow to the face.
Yeah, no, he just an accident, but he got popped in the eye, and he fought it and got it back. It was all red. I don't know how bad it was hurting him, but he got popped pretty good, I think.
Was there stitches or anything like that?
No.
Was there a specific point in the second half where you knew that the team was starting to gain some momentum?
Well, I just thought we finally hit a shot. EJ hit the 3, and kind of got the crowd going. When you're not scoring baskets, it's hard to get excited as a crowd, and EJ hits the 3 there, and so the first TV timeout we were down 3. We'd taken it from 8 to 3, and so I was being as positive as I could. We'd just given up an easy basket, but, we'd gotten it down to 3 and got back in the ball game. The energy in the building was good, and so I felt like we were at least back in the ball game, and then guys made plays, and Dot got going, and as I mentioned, Arsalan really turned it up on the D. His defense and rebounding, blocking shots and rebounding the ball there really turned it for us.
For all the momentum you guys had in the second half, when that final 4 minutes approached, and so you guys had gone 2 straight games with scoreless final 4 minutes, were you concerned at all that it would come back again, or do you think that was not really a problem tonight?
Well, it was a concern. We shot so many free throws there in the last 2 minutes. Last 2 minutes took forever, so I mean, you're always concerned. They're a good 3-point shooting team, so we were worried about that. But the last 2 games we haven't performed. There have been a lot of others we did, and my job is to keep reminding them the UCLA last 4 minutes, the UNLV last 4 minutes. We've had other games where we've played pretty good down the stretch. Now, we didn't the last 2 games, and as I mentioned, that's as much my fault as it is theirs. So we all had to, refocus and get some stops and rebounds, and we did a little better job there. We got a few stops. They got a couple offensive rebounds I was really disappointed in, because that's how they stayed in the game there. They got a couple offensive putbacks.
Early in the second half, there was an awful lot of frustration in the building, a lot of intensity, and upset with the officials. How do you get your kids to play calmly?
Well, I was disappointed with our guys there. We started worrying about the officiating, and that was the first thing I said when we got in the locker room. Fellas, you're not going to change the officiating. Just, play basketball. That's your job. If I got something to say, I'll say it. We charged on a number of those. There's some physical contact going on both ways. Just keep your composure, and so that was the first thing we talked about, fellas. This is all about composure here. We're down, we're not playing well, but we've got 20 minutes and we've got 4 timeouts, and if we need them, we'll take them, and we're going to fight this out. So I thought they did a good job of just taking a deep breath. But then when we had the offensive foul to start the second half, then I was a little worried about it. But I thought the guys did a better job just playing the game. And a lot of that happens when the ball starts going through the hole. You all have watched basketball for a long time, and when the basketball's going in, everybody's head gets up, the crowd gets excited, and so as soon as we hit a few shots, then they were less worried about it. It was more of a problem when we weren't hitting any shots. So.
Only 6 turnovers in the second half. What changed with the ball handling? You seemed to take better care of the ball.
Well, part of that, we had 5 offensive fouls the first half. We had 5 of our turnovers, 5 or maybe 6 were offensive fouls. So, that was part of our 10 there. But the points off turnovers, we 22-17. That's a problem. We've got to get that turned down. And I thought there were a couple opportunities in the second half to break it open, and turnovers. Willie had the one in the break to Carlos, and Carlos stepped out of bounds versus the press. So we had a couple bad ones there that we've got to eliminate.
You mentioned Damian. Seemed like he hit a little bit of a lull, maybe without the artists out, but he said, coaches, you guys had showed him some film of early in the season. He felt he needed to step up a little bit. He certainly did that.
Yeah, he's a rhythm player, and Josh made a film, and Eddie made a film for him, and clips where he played well, and sometimes you just got to remind them what they've done, and how well they can play, and because that last game so fresh in your mind, and he didn't play well, and so I thought that second half he looked like the old Dot. He was hitting shots and flying around defensively, and got his 4 rebounds. I'd got on him the other night because he only had 1 rebound, so I thought he did a good job.
Can you talk about the performance of Willie Moore?
Well, I thought he made some really good plays that you don't notice maybe. Like there was a loose ball, they saved it, or Arsalan saved it, threw it up, and man, he went and got that, in a crowd, and it was just a really big play. So, he did some things. He didn't hit shots, but he hit a couple free throws there late that we still needed. Defensively, I thought he did some good things. Got a big steal. So, Willie's doing fine. It's a big adjustment not to be contributing much, and then all of a sudden get thrown into it when you're in a conference race, and so It's been tough on Willie, but I thought he responded good tonight. I thought, you know, he bounced around pretty good, and, you know, if he'd have got a shot down, he'd have felt a lot better, but he made some plays that we needed made at that time.
Do you feel like Dot could be the guy that kind of becomes the go-to guy in his ability to drive and hit the jumper both?
He will be. If you remember against Cal, we set one up for him to drive, and the guy tips it from behind, and, and that was a play we had designated for him, and a couple of our late game plays, we want him driving at the basket. He's a very good free throw shooter, and he does have the ability to stop and hit that little 10-footer. So, he's definitely somebody we look at. You go back to the Vegas game, we went to him a bunch of times in a row and he finished, and so, yeah, I mean, he's kind of hit or miss right now with all of us on making plays. And again, the Cal game, he had one there that just didn't go his way, and but he's going to be. I mean, to answer your question, when you have a player like DA and Dot, go back to UCLA game, and Dot hits a 3 at the end of the shot clock with about 7 minutes to go, and DA hits one coming off a pick late in the shot clock. I mean, those were 5 points that got a separation at UCLA. So, I mean, there's 2 freshmen stepping up there making really big plays, and with more experience and their ability to create their own shot. Johnny has the ability, but they're playing so far off of him, he can't get his own. Carlos has a little trouble with the ball handling sometimes. EJ has a hard time getting his own. So, we had gone to DA and Dot because they can get their own. And so as they get more experience and get their late game situations will be a lot easier, because we'll know, other teams will know, but they'll have to make adjustments so other guys will be open. So that's a long way to answer your question, but I think Dot and DA will really be good players to make plays at the end of the game, because they can get their own shots, they can hit them, and they're both good free throw shooters.
Any update on DA, Dana?
He'll go to the doctor again on Monday, and we'll see where it's at. But, he's in the underwater treadmill all the time, staying in shape. It's killing him. He wants to play. He's ready to take the boot off and play right away. But, it's one of those things, you can tell he's young. You don't want to mess with his feet, as a freshman and have problems with him down the line. He's going to be a really good player for us, and, I want to make sure it's healed, he's fine, the doctors give him the okay, and then we'll bring him back slowly. We won't bring him back all at once, but, he's meant a lot to our team this year, and his competitiveness, and he's really struggling here now watching this play and not being a part of it, but he'll be back, and he's learning a lot too. He's really watching the games, and now he understands sometimes why I'm yelling all the time, and sometimes he says I don't yell enough, and so he's really focused in. He's not just taking time off. He's learning something about the game. So he's pretty important to us. We'd love to get him back as quick as possible.
Okay.
Thanks.